Two German shepherds, 40 kilos each, a newborn, and everyone around Claire who kept telling her it was the worst decision of her life. She almost believed them. Then Ella arrived, and Rex and Shadow did something no one expected. Not the first day, not the first week, but on a Tuesday night at 3:17 in the morning, when the silence fell and only two dogs who had already decided she belonged to them stood between a 4-month-old baby and the unthinkable. No one had warned Claire about the moment that baby would stop being only hers. Not her mother, not her doctor, not the 3 neighbors who for 6 months had repeated that keeping 2 German shepherds with a newborn was the worst decision of her life. No one had warned her that on a Tuesday night at 3:17 in the morning, walking into her daughter's room, she would finally understand, without a shadow of a doubt, that Ella no longer belonged only to her. She belonged to the two of them as well. Claire had owned Rex and Shadow since before her marriage. Rex arrived first, a black and tan German shepherd, 42 kilos, with ears standing up like radio antennas and eyes that missed nothing. Shadow came 14 months later, a little smaller, 40 kilos, with a darker coat and a calmer temperament, the kind of dog that studies a room before walking into it. They were trained, obedient, loyal the way only German shepherds can be, not just to a person but to a purpose. And for 3 years, their purpose had been Claire. When she got pregnant, the warnings started flying. Her mother called from far away. "You need to find them a new home before the baby comes." "I've read the stories, Claire." Her neighbor knocked on her door one Saturday morning, specifically to hand her an article about large breeds and infant safety. She waited without even looking at her, then left. Claire's own sister, who had never once cared about dog behavior, suddenly became an expert. "They're unpredictable. You never know how they'll react. One wrong move and that's it." Claire listened to all of it. She read the articles, watched the videos. She lay awake at 2 a.m. during her 3rd trimester running numbers in her head. Then she looked at Rex and Shadow, both asleep on the floor beside her, and made her decision. They were staying. Ella arrived on a Thursday in September, weighing 3.2 kilos, wrapped in a white blanket with a pink bow bigger than her fist. The car ride home from the hospital felt endless. Claire's husband drove. Claire sat in the back next to the car seat, one hand resting on the baby's chest, feeling her breathe. Rex and Shadow were waiting at the door. Claire's husband went in first, told them to sit, told them to stay. They sat, they stayed, but their eyes were locked on the car seat in Claire's arms with an intensity that took her breath away. She set Ella down on the living room floor, still in her car seat, and stepped back. Rex moved first, slowly, every step deliberate, as if he understood exactly what this moment meant. He stopped about 45 centimeters from the car seat, lowered his head, and took a long breath in. Then he looked up at Claire, and back down at the baby. Then he lay flat on his stomach, front paws stretched toward her, and went still. Shadow came next, the same careful approach. She walked a full slow circle around the car seat, then settled on the opposite side from Rex. Together, without being told, without a single command, they formed a circle around Ella. Claire stood in the middle of the living room and felt something shift. They already know, she thought. They already know she's ours. The first week was a study in precision. Rex and Shadow had always been active dogs, energetic, physical, the kind that filled every room with their presence and their movement. Around Ella, they transformed completely. They moved slowly near her, always, even when she cried at 2 a.m. and startled them awake. They would rise carefully, silently, and pad toward her bedroom door without hurrying. They never crowded her, never competed for space beside her. Every morning at 6:20, before Claire's alarm, before her husband even stirred, Rex would get up from his spot on the floor and walk over to Ella's crib. He didn't bark, didn't nudge her. He just stood there, watching, until Ella began to stir. Shadow had her own method. She slept right beside the crib, her breathing so steady and deep that Claire started to wonder if she'd learned to sink it to the babies. The night everything became permanent was a Tuesday in January. Ella was 4 months old. Claire had been asleep since 10 p.m., worn out from a double shift, trusting her husband to handle the midnight feeding. She woke up at 3 to a sound she had never heard from either dog before. Not a bark, not a whine, something in between. Low, deep, urgent, coming from the hallway outside Ella's room. Claire was moving before she was even fully awake. She pushed the door open and froze. Rex stood at the foot of the crib, front paws up on the rail, staring at Ella. Shadow was pressed against the side, nose between the bars, making the same low, steady, insistent sound, impossible to ignore. Ella's face was pale. Her lips had a faint blue tint. Her chest was rising, but wrong, too shallow, too slow. Claire scooped her daughter up and ran. The hospital was 11 minutes away. They made it in 7. The doctor said one word, severe. If you had waited 30 more minutes, he said, how would you have known to come in? Claire thought back to Rex against the crib rail, to Shadow's nose between the bars, that low, deep, unbearable sound. My dogs told me, she said. Ella is 14 months old now. She learned to walk holding on to Rex's back. Shadow lets her put knots in her fur, staying perfectly still while small hands fumble with the clips. Claire's neighbor, the one who brought her that article, stopped her on the sidewalk last month. Good for you, Claire said. She's here because of them. Then she added, my sister's pregnant. She has a German shepherd. Tell her to keep him. Tell her to trust him, Claire said. German shepherds are the third most intelligent dog breed in the world. They don't just follow commands. They read context, they sense emotion, they read the room. What Rex and Shadow did that night in January wasn't training. It wasn't just instinct. It was attention. Pure, unbroken attention at 3 in the morning. If you're bringing a baby home and you have a large breed dog, don't let fear make the decision for you. Watch the dog. Learn to understand him, because he's already watching you, already learning to understand yours. And on the night it matters most, that attention will be the only thing standing between your child and the dark. Trust him. He already knows what he's doing. 2 German shepherds and a newborn. Would you have taken that risk, or would fear have won?